Okay. So very good afternoon, guys. I invite all of you to our sociology class. And the first thing that we are going to discuss today is this very notion of inviting somebody to sociology. Okay. It's a very popular book written by a scholar called as Peter Berger. नहीं लिखना मत आइए यार अभी रुक जाओ यार अभी इतनी क्या जल्दी है ना आराम से लाइफ में चलेंगे देयर इज अ बुक called as Invitation to Sociology. Okay. What is written in that book? आज मैं आपसे वो सब डिस्कस करूंगा. सबसे पहली चीज जो हमें समझनी है, द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट वी शुड अंडरस्टैंड इज दैट सोशियोलॉजी इज अ सब्जेक्ट which debunks the common sense. Debunks the common sense means whatever we think about the world is going to be challenged. Right? What is common sense? Whatever we generally understand. And this is what the first slide is all about, debunking. It means unmasking the common sense. Let us understand this through example. Generally, it is believed that there is a system which all of us know, which is what we call as caste system. हम सब ने सुना हुआ है इसके बारे में. All of us know about caste system, right? Who is at the top of the caste system? Which group? Brahmins. It is common sense, right? Why? Anything which is generally believed is common sense. And you just said Brahmins are at the topmost position. Okay. And who is at the bottom position? Shudra. Right? Okay. Now, let us debunk this common sense. How we do it? What if I tell you that within Brahmins, there are some groups which are treated like Shudra, and not all Brahmins are ranked one. That means this hierarchy, this ranking that you see here, you see same kind of ranking within each group. So that means it is not that Brahmins are at the top. Within Brahmins also there are few Brahmins at the top and many Brahmins at the bottom. Which means there is a group called as Vedic Brahmins. नाम सुना है आपने इनका? अच्छा, I am not promoting casteism, okay, in the first class. No, please understand. We are not doing casteism here. Knowing about caste system does not mean promoting casteism. We are just trying to know about caste system, okay? Vedic Brahmins are the group of people who study Vedas, who have knowledge of Vedas, okay? Not all Brahmins possess knowledge of Vedas, okay? And generally it is believed that those who possess knowledge of Vedas are superior. There is a group called as Chaturvedi, 4 Vedas, Trivedi, 3 Vedas, Dvivedi, 2 Vedas, Vedi, no Veda. Okay. Now, this shows ranked arrangement within Brahmins. Okay. But other than Vedic Brahmins, there are some Brahmins called as priestly Brahmins. Now, who are priestly Brahmins? Those who perform rituals. देखो, 2 प्रकार के ब्राह्मण्स होते हैं. एक वो जो वेदास की नॉलेज रखते हैं and they stay away from performing rituals. They don't perform birth ritual, death ritual, wedding rituals. They just stay confined to temples or some scholarly services. Okay. Priestly Brahmins are the ones who perform rituals. Which rituals? Birth ritual, death ritual, marriage rituals. They come in contact with everyday life people. घर पे जाके पूजा करा दी, शादी में पूजा करा दी. Okay. They are seen as, priestly Brahmins are seen as polluted by Vedic Brahmins. Because priestly Brahmins are coming in contact with everyday life members and performing rituals in their home. Therefore, Vedic Brahmins feel that they have become polluted. So that means priestly Brahmins are seen as polluted by Vedic Brahmins. And then there are some Brahmins who perform funeral rituals, death rituals. Those Brahmins who perform death rituals are seen as even more inferior than those who are called as birth ritual Brahmins or wedding ritual Brahmins. Those Brahmins are called as Mahabrahman, those who perform death rituals. And then there are those Brahmins who perform funeral rituals to these Brahmins who are performer of the funeral rituals. So those are funeral priests to these funeral priests. They are seen as even lower. That means there is a class of Brahmin called as Mahabappa, who is seen as untouchable within the Brahmins. That means what? That within Brahmin you see some group coming closer to untouchables. Right? So our common sense was that Brahmins are one, but we just understood within Brahmins there are so many divisions and there are some untouchable Brahmins. Our common sense is that Shudra is at bottom, but you will be surprised to know within Shudra there are Brahmins, there are some priests within Shudra. Like there is a group called as Chamar. There are Chamarwa Brahmins within Chamar. How do we know this? Because we perform field studies. And this view is book view. ये किताबी बात है. और जो अभी अभी हमने डिस्कस किया वो मैदानी सच है. किताबी बात कॉमन सेंस बन चुकी है. मैदानी सच को कॉमन सेंस बनना बाकी है. Sociologists aim to reveal the Maidani reality, the ground reality. Now, what is more important, the book view or the field view? Field view. That means our common sense got debunked. Second common sense. You must have heard this view. Let's not just talk about caste system, right? In the very first class. You must have heard this view. America is capitalist economy. Russia is socialist economy. India is mixed economy. पढ़ा है? Everybody has read these kind of things, right? That means it is common sense. Because I told you what is common sense. Whatever is generally believed is common sense. See, the reality is no economy is purely capitalist. No economy is purely socialist. Every economy on planet Earth is mixed. Even America is mixed economy. समझ लेते हैं इन शब्दों का मीनिंग क्या है. What is the meaning of these words? Capitalism and socialism. Okay. In very basic language. Only then I can debunk. Okay. Capitalism means all the resources in this particular society are owned by individuals for profit. Okay. And socialist economy means all resources are controlled by government, not for profit but for welfare. This is the basic difference. A Arthvyavastha where individuals own the resource and can also produce anything that they like for making profit is called as Punjivadi Arthvyavastha, capitalism. Okay. Now in America, state does play a role in running education system, not for profit but for welfare. In America, state does have role in प्रोवाइडिंग सब्सिडीज टू फार्मर्स। अमेरिका के फार्मर्स को सब्सिडीज मिलती है, मिलती है। इन अमेरिका गवर्नमेंट ऑल्सो प्रोवाइड्स अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट अलाउंस। अगर कोई इंसान बेरोजगार है तो गवर्नमेंट उसको अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट का अलाउंस भी देता है। इन अमेरिका if the economy collapses just the way it collapsed in 2008, American government also rescues private banks by providing fiscal stimulus. Stimulus क्या होता है? इकोनॉमी में पैसा पंप करना। 2008 के रिसेशन में अमेरिका सरकार ने अमेरिकन इकोनॉमी को बचाया था। अगर इकोनॉमी सिर्फ लोगों के हाथ में दे दी जाए फॉर प्रॉफिट और सरकार का कोई रोल ना हो तो फिर इकोनॉमी तो टूट जाती है। But the role of American government shows that America is not purely capitalist. Understood? Similarly, in India, we say India is mixed economy, but see what is happening. 1990s is the period when we started LPG reforms. Have you heard this term? Don't worry if you have not even heard of this term, don't worry. Okay, we are just discussing things. In the process of organizing lectures, we will go into the details of these things starting from the basic. Okay. 1990s का एक दौर था when India initiated LPG reforms, and ever since then we see many sectors getting privatized. In 2020, space sector got privatized in India. That means what? We are seeing capitalism coming in more and more. Nuclear sector has gotten privatized. That means privatization is taking place. FDI caps, you must have heard this term in the classes of economy. FDI caps are getting deregulated. Earlier there was, you know, cap on the private sector investment, but today we see many caps getting removed. Government is welcoming private sectors to invest in India. It means what? We are becoming more and more capitalist. That means what? Overall, in any economy we see some players, some events, some occasions capitalist like, some occasions, some events socialist like. Just because you eat salad once a week, does it make you health conscious? So if you eat salad once a week, you will not be called a saladist. If I eat dal makhani once a week, I will not be called as dal makhanist. If I eat shahi paneer once a week, I will not be called as shahi paneerist. Every day I am having something else. Similarly, no economy can be called as purely capitalist. You will see some elements of capitalism, some elements of socialism in everyday economy. That means our common sense view got debunked. Now, this way of knowing things is very different from holding common sense narratives. Understood? Let me take one more example. It is common sense. Again, it is common sense that when you get married, husband and wife stay together. It is common sense. खुश हो रहे हो तुम? होएगी एक दिन, ठीक है? When you get married, husband and wife generally stay together, okay, and they have a baby. Now, there are many societies where husbands don't stay with wives by culture. ऐसा नहीं कि बस मूड नहीं था उसका उस दिन ना, by culture, by norm, they don't stay. They are called as walking marriages. China में there is a tribe called as Moswo. Moswo custom is actually the custom. Okay. There was a community called as Nayyar community in Kerala. Such kind of custom used to exist even among them. Husbands would come, get married, and then they would leave the house. And then a stranger would visit the place. and this was norm, this was culture. That means what? हमारे जहन में जो इमेज बनी हुई है और जो मैदानी सच है उसमें फर्क है बहुत सारा. ओके, these days people are getting married and voluntarily deciding to stay apart. This is called as living apart together marriage, LAT type of marriage. शादी कर ली पर साथ नहीं रहेंगे. क्यों नहीं रहेंगे बात की बात है, वो बाद में डिस्कस करेंगे. ओके, LAT, that means common sense view is getting debunked when you come across such kind of examples. Okay, so this is what the basic idea is. First, what we know about the world, and then we question it. Last view, last example. It is generally believed men are emotionless. इसमें इंस्टा रील्स बहुत चलती हैं इन चीजों पे. ठीक है. Men are not expressive, women are emotional. Okay, and women is looking for somebody who's trustworthy, who's compassionate, who's caring, who's lovable, etc., etc. Okay, men do not have enough time. This is what the reels are all about. They are expressionless, they are hardwired, they don't cry, etc., etc. There are some societies which I'll talk about where men are more expressive than women. Men are more caring than women. Men are more emotional than women. There are some societies where women are more aggressive than men, more expressionless than men, by norm, by socialization, by design. It's not कि एक दिन की बात है. By norm, there is a society where both men and women are headhunters. In Israel, women are trained in military strategies. They are trained to prepare for the combat role. The women in Israel are more masculine than women in other pockets of the world. The women in Israel may be more masculine than many men in other pockets of the world, more combative than many men in other pockets of the world. That means what? Our notions that women are naturally like this, men are naturally like this, are going to be challenged once we come across such kind of examples, such kind of societies. Understood? तो पहला तो हो गया भाई डिबंकिंग. डिबंक हम कर चुके हैं कई मिथ्याओं को. Second, what do we do? As I told you, we unmask what is generally believed and reveal the hidden. Everything that was just told to you was hidden. It was just revealed to you. Okay. Second thing that we do is unrespectability. What is the meaning of this? It's not that we don't give respect to people. No, no, no. It simply means that we study the views of the non-dominant sections rather than accepting only the official and dominant narratives. आपको समझ में आया होगा कि सिर्फ एक नैरेटिव में हम नहीं मानते हैं. We don't believe in one narrative. Whatever is generally accepted is seen as dominant narrative. Whatever is generally accepted is seen as the so-called official narrative. But we also take into consideration the narrative of the non-dominant, the marginalized sections. Talking about the same example, if I talk about caste system, Brahmins at the top is the official view. Not official, that means it's not that government supports this. Official view means it is generally written in the text and it is generally promoted, and it is also seen as view of the dominant because Brahmins and Kshatriya were the dominant in the history of India. But if you look into the non-dominants, the Vaishyas and the Shudra, okay, you will come to know when you interview them, Jats in Haryana will not say that they are inferior to Brahmins. ऐसा होगा क्या कभी? Jats in Haryana will they say कि नहीं नहीं we are lower to Brahmins? ऐसा होगा? नहीं होगा, नहीं होगा. Will Yadav say they are inferior to Brahmins? कोई नहीं मानेगा that they are inferior to Brahmins. Every community says we are number one. Every community. Even the community that is seen as the Shudra will not say they are inferior. That means we accept the views of the non-dominant section also. Because the reality is, the moment you say Brahmins at number one, that means you have accepted the view of Brahmins. It is not that it is the official reality. It is just that you have accepted the view of Brahmins. So just like you have accepted the view of Brahmins, you may also end up accepting the view of the non-Brahmins as well. Which blood group is superior? Superior. O, AB, B. बताओ. Which blood group is superior? सुपीरियर होता ही नहीं है. सुपीरियर तो पढ़ा ही नहीं है. पढ़ा ही नहीं हमने. कोई ब्लड ग्रुप सुपीरियर नहीं होता. Every blood group is different. Similarly, which race is superior, black or white? अरे white will say we are superior, black will say we are superior. The moment you say white are superior, that means you have accepted white's version. ये वाला नजरिया आप सोचो. The moment you say Brahmin superior, you have accepted Brahmin version. Who is superior, men or women? समझ रहे हो ना आप बात को? अब बात को समझ रहे हो ना? इतना आसान नहीं है. यानी आपके जहन में जो बातें घुसी हुई हैं, whatever is there in your mind was view of somebody which you have actually accepted as the reality, but the task of sociology is to question everything that is common sense and to understand and debunk and unmask the hidden versions. And the moment you start coming across those narratives, you will be surprised. You will feel excited. अच्छा हाँ, ये भी एक view है. And that is the beauty of sociology. It actually informs us about the world that we are inhabiting. It actually makes us more refined in our thinking. It actually makes us good conversationist. We strike conversation, we go into the details which are usually taken for granted or not even discussed or described by the other person. Our task is to enlighten people and to get enlightened by everyday life people. So that is what is going to make sociology different from other subjects. Okay. And definitely, when it comes to Ambedkar, you must have heard his name. Okay. Ambedkar came from a lower caste community. But the question is, who decides what is upper and who is lower? Right? So, in the initial days, we will say like this, upper, lower. But then later on, we will say different. There is no upper, lower. Okay. Ambedkar used to actually question the caste system. He had sociological wisdom. He did not take this system for granted. He was questioning it. That means he had sociological traits. He was trying to debunk. He was trying to challenge. Understood this? Okay. And not just Ambedkar, Periyar, Phule, and many other people like that. Okay. Third thing that we do is, what seems natural in one society may not exist in the same form elsewhere. Now, let me give you one basic example. In North India, when people get married, they try to marry somebody from within their caste but outside their village. ऐसा होता है कुछ. होता है ना? That means in North India, there is practice of caste endogamy and village exogamy. ये है. But it appears very natural to us that yes, it is the practice. Okay, but in South India, there is village endogamy. They marry within their own village. They don't marry outside their village. In fact, in South India, there is practice of cross cousin marriage. We don't have practice in North India of cross cousin. तो यानी कि जो हमें बड़ा नेचुरल लग रहा था, और हमें में भी हम कौन है वैसे भी, है ना, जो एक ग्रुप को बड़ा नेचुरल लग रहा था, वो दूसरे ग्रुप के लिए शॉकिंग है, और जो उस ग्रुप को नॉर्मल लग रहा है वो इस ग्रुप के लिए शॉकिंग है. इसका मतलब सच तो कुछ भी नहीं है. देयर आर ओनली पर्सपेक्टिव्स, ओनली डिफरेंट व्यू पॉइंट्स. अंडरस्टूड? I remember one day I went to Northeast, Nagaland. Okay. I saw women running businesses there. It was cultural shock to me. Okay. I was looking for men. ये men कहाँ रह गए? Men दिख नहीं रहे मुझे. So I was actually shocked. Where are the men? Then I saw men riding on bikes with funky clothes, nice helmets. Okay. Men were enjoying and women were working. In Northeast, there are not, it is not just Nagaland, there are many tribes, many societies which are actually matrilineal. It will be shock to many people in North India, but our culture will be shock to them. The moment we understand these differences and we accept all of them and we become tolerant to all of them, then ultimately we become cosmopolitan. कॉस्मोपॉलिटन होने का मतलब क्या होता है कि आप डिफरेंट वर्ल्ड व्यूज को लेकर टॉलरेंट बन जाओ, एंड यू डोंट resist the other worldview. Understood this? In America, you will see a practice, kind of norm there, kind of normal thing for them. 60-year-old man, 70-year-old man marrying someone who is 20 or 30. Have you seen this? It's a norm there. Such couples are subject matter for us because they are very different from usual couples. We want to pick them and we want to study them. ऐसा क्यों करते हैं ये? And then we understand. You know, those senior 70-year-old men, they believe that having young wife adds to their status. Such women in the normal everyday life, they are seen as trophy wife. Trophy wife. Okay, it is like winning a trophy at this age. Okay. Now this kind of notions, we, instead of feeling uncomfortable, we should become tolerant, because this is what the kind of world that we are inhabiting. We are nobody to say a practice is good or bad. We just have to become tolerant. The moment you say ये तो खराब है सर, बट ये है तो खराब ना, चलो आपने क्लास में बोल दिया बट खराब तो है ही ना, ना ये खराब नहीं है, ये अलग है, डिफरेंट है. Anything which is different from what you know can't be called as kharab. It is just different. And you have to be tolerant. And this is what the task of sociologist is. Understood this? And this is how we become neutral. This is how we become objective. And if we start labeling some practices as good or bad, then we are no different from any common man. Right? A scientist should be neutral in his approach. If he's studying black hole, if he's studying planet, if he's studying different solar system or alien, he can't call these things as good or bad. These are just things. and we also have to study all these things like things without calling them good, bad. Okay. Now, think like this. Very basic idea which I want to share with you. You know, all of us generally believe one more thing I would like to talk about. मेहनत करोगे तो सक्सेस मिलेगी. सब मानते हैं इस चीज को. ये मत बोला नहीं नहीं सर हार्ड वर्क नहीं स्मार्ट वर्क होता है. नहीं नहीं नहीं. That is included. Okay. All of us believe that if we do hard work, then we become successful. That means it is common sense because it is generally believed. Let us debunk this. Let us debunk this. Check the data of successful people in UPSC. Okay. You will come to know that there is a pattern. एक pattern है. Most of them will be men. Most of them will be coming from upper middle class or middle class. Understood? Most of them will be men. Most of them will be coming from upper middle class or middle class. Most of them will be English medium people. That means what? Male privilege, class privilege, language privilege. हार्डवर्क का क्या हुआ? हार्डवर्क इसके बाद होता है. अगर ये तीन है, not to discourage women, okay, not to discourage poor, not to discourage हिंदी मीडियम पीपल, बट ये देखा गया. हम नहीं कह रहे यही होगा, हम तो ये बोल रहे कि ये हुआ. We also got shocked. If somebody told us hard work brings you success, but we came to know male privilege brings you success, language privilege gives you success, and then class privilege gives you success. And the person who is sitting at the intersection of these three privileges is more successful than the other who's sitting at the intersection of only two or one or no. And by chance, if a student or a person from a family of auto wala clears the exam, then that is called as breaking news. उसको ब्रेकिंग न्यूज क्यों बोला? क्योंकि उसने ब्रेक कर दिया इस नोशन को. दैट इज व्हाई इट इज ब्रेकिंग न्यूज. दैट इज व्हाई इट गेट्स वायरल. वो वायरल होता ही इसलिए क्योंकि ये होता नहीं है. ये हो गया इसलिए वायरल हो गया. अ पर्सन हु इज मेल, अपर मिडिल क्लास, स्पीकर of English language will not get viral on getting success as much as a person who is from Hindi medium, who is not a male, and who is coming from auto wala family. Understood this? So this is what we have to understand, that what is generally believed and what is happening are two different things. And the task of sociology is to reveal those things. Understood? So I hope now you know what is the subject is all about. So just to go through these four words, we will always remember these four words in our lectures. Debunking. Okay. And it is not that all the words are clearly different from each other. You will see some overlap. Okay. Debunking. Second, unrespectability means not just respecting dominant view, but also respecting the non-dominant, the so-called non-official view. Okay. Relativization. What seems natural in one place may not be existing in some other, and we have to be tolerant to all those differences. That means cosmopolitan. So if you have these four, you can easily become a person who can think like a sociologist. Understood? इसमें तो कोई डाउट नहीं किसी को. ओके. शुरू में होएगा. क्यों शुरू में होएगा? क्योंकि ना all of us are socialized in a particular box. यही है दुनिया बेटा. 25 साल तक हमने एक दुनिया को देखा है, 20 साल तक एक दुनिया को देखा है, एंड सडनली इन वन लेक्चर वी से नहीं नहीं ऐसी नहीं दुनिया. इतना आसान नहीं है दैट यू रजिस्टर एवरीथिंग दैट आई एम गोइंग टू टेल यू इन वन गो and you forget everything that you have been socialized into for 20 years. But it is not even required. You just have to know things for exam. You don't have to actually get emotional. You just have to know things for exam. And how much do we have to know is something that we will come to know in the lectures. There should be limit to what we know. We can't just go into or afford to go into the details of the things which are sounding very exciting every day. There has to be some limit. And how do we define the limit? The moment we start practicing questions on those topics. Okay. And don't worry about answer writing practice, because I firmly believe that answer writing is something that nobody has any particular advantage, even if he or she is coming from humanity background. It's not that engineering people are bad at answer writing, humanity students are good at answer writing. No, these are generally believed things. If that was the case, then why engineers are clearing more than humanity background students? So first, let's get free of all those notions or common sense things. We get trained in answer writing, and even humanity students require that training, because the way he is trained to write answer is very university like format or pattern. He needs to get, or she needs to get freed from that style. Usually in university or school we believe जितना पेज भरोगे उतने नंबर. कॉमन सेंस है, फिर से ये बता रहा हूं मैं आपको, ये फिर से कॉमन सेंस है. ये सिर्फ स्टूडेंट्स का व्यू है, टीचर्स का व्यू नहीं है ये. कभी टीचर ने बोला है आपको ऐसा, पेज भर देना बेटा नंबर दे देंगे? ये तो टीचर ने कभी बोला ही नहीं है. टीचर क्या बोलता है? टीचर को तो उल्टा मैं आपको बताऊं, स्कूल में क्या होता था. आई रिमेम्बर वी वुड राइट पेपर ऑन दैट डे, and then there would be a person at the back. Huh. He would say, मैम एक्स्ट्रा शीट. बहुत गुस्सा आता था, पता है, बहुत गुस्सा, मैं ऑनेस्टली बता रहा हूँ. यहाँ पेज नहीं भरे जा रहे हैं, पहला ही ये आदमी एक्स्ट्रा शीट मांग रहा है, वो भी तब जब ये कभी दिखा नहीं है स्कूल में. ओके. ही यूज टू टेक extra sheet after every 20 minutes. Okay. But he got lowest marks. And there was this person who did not take extra sheet at all. In fact, he left spaces in the given sheet. He got highest. तो पहला नोशन तो यही ब्रेक हो जाएगा आपका कि ज्यादा लिखने से ज्यादा नंबर होते हैं. नहीं, दिस इज नॉट that school exam. Even in school we never had these kind of practices. I don't know how these things became common sense to all of us, but somehow these things are part of our common sense. Okay. Teacher likes a person who is writing minimum and leaving the maximum impact on the mind of the person. That means you can maximize your score even by writing minimum, provided what you are writing is to the point and not beating around the bush. Okay. And writing to the point is something that nobody is knowing from birth. We have to practice that. We will gradually inculcate that in a matter of few lectures. So you don't need to feel impatient. You don't need to feel anxious that somebody is scoring more than me in the first day. No, don't worry. It's not a matter of 1 day or 2 days. It's a matter of regular answer writing that will make you what you should be. Okay. Anyway, so answer writing is something that is going to be there, and I would have only one request to all of you. Don't refer multiple resources or books. Okay. Don't refer multiple resources or books. Okay. You don't have enough time for these things, and this is not why we are here. We are not here to become sociologists. We are here to become good at sociology, not to become sociologists. But we must feel interest in that subject to become good at sociology, right? Even if not to become sociologist. And usually I have seen many people, asking after lecture, sir, I have covered this topic now. Now tell me what extra should I read? Don't come to me for this question ever. I feel if you read the same thing multiple times, you are already doing extra, which other person is not doing. You know what is extra? Extra does not mean extra book. Extra means extra effort in the same, over the same, on the same topic. And that extra is not done by everybody. That extra is done by very few people. Okay. Why should we read same thing extra? Because one day will come when you will realize that it is not just one lecture, we have actually gone through 50 lectures. And then, we start feeling anxious. Yeah, I've forgotten what I read on 10th day, 20th day. That means you need revision. Okay. And I'll make sure that you revise on time. How? Because I will periodically organize tests in the class. This will actually push you to revise multiple times. So you will gradually overcome that fear of, forgetting things. And in the whole process of writing 6 tests, you will feel much more confident. And also, let me tell you please one more thing. Why I'm saying these things in the very first place, because the moment you are clear with these things, you have enough time for yourself, for doing whatever you like, and not just you know running from one pole to another and wasting your time. Don't go for any evaluation institution, that this institution is known for evaluation, or this app is known for evaluation, let me upload my copies to this app. No, don't do this please. Because I don't want to talk about evaluation process right now, but don't do this. Okay. Multiple times what happens is, you will be advised on few things by toppers and different people. Write 6 points, write 7 points, write 8 points. Okay. Prepare intro, prepare conclusion. You will be told about these things, but you will not be told about the basic thing: focus on demand. Very few people focus on demand. Many people just focus on number of points, number of points, number of points. Nice intro, nice conclusion. Where is the demand? Many people end up leaving the demand, and that is something that very few people come to know in the evaluation process. Many people actually are also driven by the same common sense. यार इसके बस number of points देख लेता हूँ कितने लिखे हैं, 7 पॉइंट लिखे, चलो 6 नंबर दे दो. This is the kind of evaluation that that is happening. But this kind of evaluation does not happen in the UPSC, because they are not in their 20s. They are in their 50s, and they know the importance of this exam. They know the importance of a person who is going to become civil service officer. Okay. So don't upload your copies to any institution randomly. Okay. Everything will be done here itself. You don't need to do anything else outside. And when it comes to recommending books, I usually don't recommend books. I have never recommended books. The reason is very simple. The books that are written are for higher studies in sociology. Okay. And there is no Harlambus is very important person, a very good author on sociology, but Harlambus himself does not know that we are preparing for civil services and reading his book for that. He himself does not know it, unfortunately. Okay, I think somebody may have told him, but uh, even if he knows it, uh, he could have at least told us these topics you can ignore. Okay, you don't need to refer these, but he is not informing us on these things. So it is our own conscious now, our own views that must be solidified, and we must know this much has to be read, this much can be safely ignored. Okay. So answer writing, 6 tests will be there. In these 6 tests, 4 tests we will organize, which will be sectional test, and 2 tests we will organize will be full length test. Okay. And this will be more than enough. My target is personally to ensure that we organize these tests periodically, and we will actually inform you 15 days prior, or maybe sometime 10 days prior. So there is no ready-made schedule for it, that when will we organize this test. We will organize this as and when we cover the topics. Suppose we cover first 2 units and some part of the next unit, I will feel like organizing the test at that point of time. Okay. And then I will inform you 10 days or 15 days prior to that. Okay. So these things will be decided and will be informed to you through email or through Telegram channel. All of you will be part of the Telegram channel that we have made. In Telegram channel, what we do is we keep updating students on anything, on any issue like maybe test date, or maybe some resource, or maybe some current affair website links which we feel are important for you to know at that point of time. Okay. And the last thing which I would like to talk about would be current affair. Okay. Again, current affair, don't take too much pressure to uh, read current affair for sociology. You should be informed citizen. That means you should read Hindu or Indian Express, but don't read Indian Express because you have to use this example in sociology to get 1 mark extra. ये मत करना. Because every day you will come across such lines that you feel can give you 1 mark extra. There has to be some point where you need to stop, and you will not be knowing when to stop. Eventually you will realize that it is not that particular day's Hindu or Indian Express that is going to give you 1 mark extra. It is actually your presence of mind, that you have sorted things, what needs to be written. You have sorted things that this needs to be revised multiple times. You have sorted that this can be written only in 7 or 8 minutes. So that day you will actually come to know that I don't need to run after multiple newspapers or current affairs because time is limited and memory is even more limited than the time. And those things we will be prepared for in the whole process of organizing the classes. So again, current affair के लिए भी बिल्कुल मत आना. These things will be discussed freely without even telling you कि ये आज के हिंदू में आया है 10वें पेज पे, ये आज के इंडियन एक्सप्रेस में आया है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Things will be very very organic. Like I was talking about this notion that India is mixed economy. And then I was saying that space sector has gotten privatized. It was actually according to 2020 space policy. Okay. So 2020 space policy is also part of current affair. Okay. Current does not mean आज, right? Current का मतलब आप contemporary समझो. Contemporary मतलब आजकल, और परसों भी included है उसमें. ठीक है. So that means we must be very very assured that okay, considering the time that we have, considering the energy and resources that we have, we must stick to the given thing. And how will we become different? By reading the same thing multiple times. One person reads 10 things, second person read one thing 10 times. This person will score more. This will happen. This person will score more. Okay. So ये सब चीजें हमें ध्यान रखनी है शुरू से ही. हमारा सिलेबस इफ वी सी very briefly, the first unit is about origin of this subject. I'll quickly make you go through the syllabus. आज हम syllabus को जानेंगे, हमारा syllabus क्या है. First unit is about origin of this subject. Okay. And when you will study this topic, you will come to know कि origin जो है, it actually lies in some events in Europe. यूरोप में कुछ घटनाएं घटी थी. वो घटनाओं का नाम क्या है, बस नाम के लिए अभी हम लिख रहे हैं यहाँ पे, अभी हम पढ़ नहीं रहे हैं, बस जान रहे हैं. ओके. Those events are events like Renaissance, some popular names. Okay. Second, scientific revolution. Third, enlightenment. Fourth, French revolution. Fifth, industrial revolution. These 5 events disturbed Europe. यूरोप को हिला दिया. क्या ये 5 इवेंट एक ही दिन में हुए थे? नहीं. These events took place gradually. We will come to know the timeline also of these events. Okay. But for the time being, just understand these events have actually shaken Europe or shook Europe of its roots. और जब यूरोप थोड़ा हिला इन इवेंट्स की वजह से, तो यूरोप के हिलने की वजह से यूरोप में बदलाव आना शुरू हुआ. यूरोप गॉट destabilized because of these events, and result was changes taking place. चेंजेस आए. किस प्रकार के चेंजेस आए यूरोप में? एक वक्त था when there was no system of electing the leader. The leader was selected. Okay. And the leader earlier was the person who was believed to have religious approval or religious sanction. Understood? And Europe, just like India, was divided into caste system. But they don't call it caste system. They call it state system, which operates just like caste. लेकिन हमें क्या लगेगा, नहीं अलग होता है. नहीं, we will actually come to know जो देखने में अलग लग रहा है उसमें भी कई सारी similarities हैं. Okay. In the state system, there was at the top a person called as priestly class or church officials, just like we had Brahmins at the top. So much similarity, right? At the second position in the state system, there was warrior class, just like we had our warrior class called as Kshatriya. So much similarity, जबकि इनका कोई coordination नहीं हुआ था आपस में. ठीक है, पर देखो सिमिलैरिटी कितनी है. और रूलर जो थे यूरोप के, they were coming from church and warrior class. Similarly, in India, rulers were coming from church and warrior class, Kshatriya dynasties. है ना? Kshatriya dynasties assisted by Brahmin advisors. Sometimes Brahmin dynasty also. That was seen as exception. Okay, assisted by Brahmins only. Right? Similarly, in Europe, we had such kind of system. So this kind of system was seen as not so democratic, not so welfare oriented, and not so equalitarian in nature. But when these things happened, okay, especially with Enlightenment, Renaissance, that system of choosing leadership on the basis of state was gone, and now leadership was going to be chosen by the people. This is what we call as the democracy. So that means Europe got destabilized, some changes taking place. One change was introduction of democracy. Understood? One change was introduction of democracy. And of course, democracy could not have survived, or it could not have originated without scientific temper. And before Europe got stabilized, there was no scientific temper. There was religious temper. And these events challenged that religious temper and then introduced scientific temper. Scientific temper means not believing in religious ideas. एक बड़ा पॉपुलर नैरेटिव था, किंग एट हिज कासल, पुअर मैन एट हिज गेट, गॉड मेड देम हाईली एंड लोली एंड ऑर्डर्ड देयर एस्टेट्स. यानी भगवान ने ही किसी को अमीर बनाया है, भगवान ने ही किसी को गरीब बनाया है. ये भगवान का बनाया हुआ सिस्टम है, इसको छेड़ना मत. ये बात बोलने वाले लोग कौन थे? वहां के ब्राह्मण. ठीक है, अक्सर ये देखा गया है, एक ग्रुप ऐसा कुछ बनाता है जिससे सिस्टम बना रहे उनके फेवर में. ओके, इस ग्रुप को और इस सिस्टम को चैलेंज किया गया. और साइंटिफिक टेम्पर का मतलब होता है क्वेश्चनिंग टेम्पर, बिकॉज साइंटिस्ट क्वेश्चन, राइट? Scientists will not say the life exists only on planet Earth. They will question this and they will try to look for other ideas, other spaces where life may exist. So scientists question, and the person who is religious do not entertain questioning. ये दोनों जो है थोड़ा अलग है। एक रिलीजियस आदमी जो है वो क्वेश्चनिंग को बर्दाश्त नहीं कर सकता, साइंटिस्ट करता है। तो साइंटिफिक टेम्पर का मतलब क्वेश्चनिंग है। तो साइंटिफिक टेम्पर आता कहाँ से है? रेनेसांस से, साइंटिफिक रेवोल्यूशन से, एनलाइटनमेंट। दीज आर द पीपल हु आर क्वेश्चनिंग द एग्जिस्टिंग नॉर्म्स। यानी यूरोप चेंज हुआ, बदला, तो यानी डेमोक्रेसी के लिए साइंटिफिक टेम्पर चाहिए, वो भी यहीं से आया। और यूरोप में बहुत चेंजेस आए। लैंड रिफॉर्म हुआ। डू यू नो व्हाट इज लैंड रिफॉर्म? लैंड रिफॉर्म बेसिक शब्दों में समझे हम, देयर वाज अ पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम व्हेन वेरी फ्यू सेट ऑफ पीपल हैड मैक्सिमम concentration of land in their hands. In Europe, for example, uh, only 10% of people had 90% of land. And those 10% of people were people from the priestly class and the warrior class, the aristocrats. They had maximum amount of land. This was unfair. Okay. Land reform means fix this idea, distribute the land equally. Give the land to those people who are cultivating the land. Earlier, those who were not cultivators were owner of the land. But with land reform, the ownership was given to those who were cultivators also. तो लैंड रिफॉर्म भी कब हुआ? इन सब इवेंट्स के बाद हुआ है। ओके, हर इवेंट का अपना रोल है, बट हमें समझना है इन इवेंट्स ने बदला है यूरोप को और लैंड रिफॉर्म लेके आया है। इंडिया में लैंड रिफॉर्म कब हुए? इंडिया एक्सपीरियंस लैंड रिफॉर्म, दैट मीन्स land ownership given to the cultivators, to the peasants after 1950s। यानी इंडिया में 1950 में जो हुआ वो यूरोप में कब हो चुका था? 1800 में। इंडिया 150 ईयर्स उस हिसाब से पीछे है। ठीक है, सिर्फ अगर इतनी चीज को देखें। ठीक है, डेमोक्रेसी वहां पहले आ गई, ऐसे लोग बोलेंगे इंडिया में भी थी पहले, सही बात है। ठीक है, लेकिन जिसको हम डेमोक्रेसी बोलते हैं, जिसको एक्सेप्ट किया जाता है, द सिस्टम ऑफ इलेक्शन and separate organizing commission for that, which is independent constitutional, this kind of system is very British system that we have borrowed from the Britishers। okay, so anyway, इस तरह के बदलाव जब आए यूरोप में, और बहुत बदलाव, बहुत प्रकार के बदलाव आए, ये भी बदलाव आया कि फैक्ट्री सिस्टम आया। अगर हम इकोनॉमी की बात करें, फैक्ट्री सिस्टम मींस प्रोड्यूसिंग थिंग्स थ्रू machines। This actually happened with industrial revolution। okay, earlier things were produced by hands, they were handmade chocolates, which are very popular even today, but in those days that was the only option, right? But with industrial revolution, now chocolates were made by machines। When you make anything by machine, there are two advantages: first, you can get cheaper; second, you can get at bigger scale and at lower time। कम वक्त में ज्यादा चीजें मिलती हैं, अपने आप वो चीज सस्ती कहलाती है। ओके, हैंड में क्या होता है? वक्त लगता है बनाने में हाथ से, तो ऑब्वियसली मेहनत लगती है, तो पैसा भी ज्यादा लगता है। ठीक है, हाँ, हालांकि हैंडमेड अपने आप में एक तरीके से लग्जरी या प्रीमियम भी बोला जाता है आज के वक्त में, दैट्स अ डिफरेंट थिंग। ओके, बट उस टाइम उसको ऑब्सोलीट बोला जाता था, आउटडेटेड हो गया हैंडमेड। ओके, तो फैक्ट्री सिस्टम ने इकोनॉमिक प्रोडक्शन सिस्टम को चेंज किया, and many other things, ultimately, see, the task was that in Europe is getting destabilized because of these changes. That means we must understand there are some forces which are operating to change the society, and when these forces were changing the society, there were some resistance also। some people emerged who were saying, ये सब क्या है, ये क्या है, ये डेमोक्रेसी, ये सब बंद करो इसको, व्हाट इज दिस साइंटिफिक टेम्पर, बंद करो इसको, व्हाट इज दिस लैंड रिफॉर्म, बंद करो इसे। There were some people who did not welcome the change, and it happens, it is like, you push the ball, it moves, and then there is a force which lowers the speed of the ball or resists the motion of the ball। That force is called as friction force, है ना? So just like you see such kind of forces operating in the nature when you talk about the ball, just replace the ball with the system which we call as society, you will see same kind of forces operating at the level of society, some forces moving the society forward, some forces resisting the motion of the society. So if they call it physics and they are science, we call it social physics or sociology, we are also science that way. The forces that they study is very different from the forces that we study. We don't study ball, but we treat society like a ball. Okay, so in order to understand, and Europe was like a laboratory for us, okay, कि एक समाज बदल रहा है और इस समाज के बदलाव के खिलाफ एक ताकत उभर के आ रही है जिसका नाम था काउंटर रेवोल्यूशनरी. So these forces were progressive and this force was regressive. Sociology emerged to study these forces, just like physics emerged to study the force operating on ball and the force resisting the motion of the ball. मैं नहीं कह रहा फिजिक्स सिर्फ बॉल को पढ़ने के लिए है, मैं एग्जांपल के तौर पे आई एम जस्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट इट. ओके, अ डिसिप्लिन इमर्ज्ड which treated Europe to be a sample of society, just like ball is treated as sample for any object. Okay, European society was treated like sample to study any society on planet Earth. Remember this. European society was treated like sample to study any society on planet Earth. But who treated European society like a sample? Some scientists which we today call as sociologists. Okay, that means sociology emerged to study forces operating in society to bring change and to resist the change. समझ गए क्या अलग है इसमें? फिजिक्स में यही करते हैं. इनफैक्ट सोशियोलॉजी का असली नाम क्या था पहले पता है? सोशल फिजिक्स. अच्छा, जब बच्चे पूछते हैं सर हम साइंस बैकग्राउंड से क्या हम ले लें सोशियोलॉजी, मैं उन्हें क्या बताऊं? सोशियोलॉजी इज ऑल्सो साइंस. सोशियोलॉजी छोड़ो, सोशल साइंस भी एक वर्ड होता है. ठीक है, सोशियोलॉजी इज जस्ट वन ऑफ द सोशल साइंस. साइकोलॉजी इज साइंस, एंथ्रोपोलॉजी इज साइंस, पॉलिटिकल साइंस ने नाम में ही साइंस रख लिया. ठीक है, सो ये हो गया ओरिजिन ऑफ सोशियोलॉजी यूनिट 1. ओके, इसके हम डिटेल अभी खत्म नहीं हुए हैं. We just want to be very very well informed on what are we going to study and how are we going to study, what was the origin of this subject. Okay, or once we know about the origin, then we become comfortable with the subject because we then come to know the nature of subject. अच्छा, इस सब्जेक्ट का नेचर ही ये है, समाज में बदलाव पढ़ना, उन बदलाव के खिलाफ वाले लोगों को पढ़ना, समाज को एक सिस्टम की तरह ट्रीट करना, उन फोर्सेस को पढ़ना, और वो भी without calling one force as positive and other force as negative, because in GS you will do this positive negative. ये नहीं करना है यहाँ पे. You don't have to call any force as positive. Generally क्या होएगा in common sense? In common sense, Renaissance, scientific revolution, enlightenment, French revolution, everything will be seen as positive positive positive, and these people will be seen as negative. ये आपको दुश्मन लगेंगे आपके, है ना? ये जो the people who are countering these, you will call them as दुश्मन. No, डू यू कॉल फ्रिक्शन फोर्स अ दुश्मन? नहीं ना, तो फिर वो लेबल क्यों रखने? आपको बस इस चीज की ट्रेनिंग करनी है कि जो आपके दिमाग में आ रहा है उसको थोड़ा सा हटाओ और ऐसे पढ़ो कि जैसे पहली बार पढ़ रहे हैं, because we are actually socialized like that to call few things as good, few as bad, few as right, few as wrong. We have to get freed of all those labels and stereotypes. This is the major task. बस इतनी ही आपको ट्रेनिंग करनी है और कुछ भी नहीं. ओके, अच्छा. Now the moment sociology originated, there were some subjects already existing, and those subjects were treating sociology like untouchable. Okay, who are you? Political scientists ask sociology, who are you? Okay, and why are you here? Psychology treated sociology like untouchable. Who are you? Why are you here? Philosophy also gave the same treatment. See, because they were well established disciplines. The dominance of these disciplines is well known in the academia. Political science, philosophy तो सबसे पहला डिसिप्लिन है इस दुनिया का. Philosophy बोला जाता है is the mother of all sciences. Okay. But sociology actually took these things very seriously. That philosophy is questioning me, political science is questioning me, psychology is questioning me. I will have to prove my worth. I'll have to prove them why do I exist despite these people already existing here. Then comes the comparison between sociology and other social sciences, which is also part of your syllabus. So in that part, we will understand the origin to chalo is well known now. How is it different from psychology? How is it different from philosophy? See, one thing is very, very clear. If I talk about comparison only, okay, you will tell me one very basic thing. If I talk about socio versus psycho, okay, do you think psychology will ever study the forces operating in society? Will psychologists study forces operating in society? That is not the subject matter of psychology. Psychology studies our mindset, the mental system of an individual primarily. Okay. Sociology does not study the mindset of the individual. That is not the focus or subject matter for us. I mean, it is important, but we don't focus on that. We believe our mindset is shaped by the forces. ये हमारा thesis है. हमारा ऐसा मानना है कि ऑब्जेक्ट का खुद का कोई दिमाग नहीं होता. ऑब्जेक्ट इज शेप्ड बाय द फोर्सेस. वैसे ही हम इंसानों को नहीं मानते कि उनका कोई दिमाग है. बट हम ये मानते हैं कि दे आर लार्जली शेप्ड बाय द सोशल फोर्सेस outside the system. It's not to be taken very seriously because we know that we have brain, we are not like atoms, we are not like objects. We are very fully conscious being. But the primary thesis that we must understand firstly, then we will challenge it. The first thesis that we must understand is we are largely shaped by our so-called society, our family, our religion, our caste, our class position, our gender. These things are external to us. And society has told you, कि भाई you are man, you should be like this. You are woman, you should be like this. You are Hindu, you should be like this. You are Muslim, you should be like this. You are this, so you should not be eating non-veg. And you can't have it on Tuesday. So whatever you are is shaped by the social forces operating on you. It's not literally you. If you were literally given freedom, then you would have caused chaos in the social world and you would have been in prison all the time. Understood this? So it is not you literally free, shaped by the social system. Psychology does not study the social forces shaping you, it just studies you as individual entity having its own instincts. Understood this? Okay, so this is how we are different from psychology. At surface level only, I'm not going into the details right now. Okay. Now, second thing which we must understand is you will notice one thing. Psychologist will study a person who's alcoholic. Okay, we'll try to understand what makes him alcoholic. Okay, what makes him drug addict. Okay, what makes him stressed, what makes him anxious, what makes him frustrated. But when we will study those people, we will actually come to know, यार अल्कोहलिक अगर सिर्फ एक इंसान होने की बात है कि कोई इंसान अल्कोहलिक होता है, तो ऐसा क्यों है कि मेन ज्यादा अल्कोहलिक और वुमेन नहीं? क्या वुमेन भी तो इंसान है ना? ऐसा क्यों है कि मोस्ट ऑफ द अल्कोहलिक आर मेन एंड नॉट वुमेन? यानी बात सिर्फ अब दिमाग की नहीं रह गई है, बात है जेंडर की। ऐसा क्या ऑपरेट हो रहा है समाज में कि मेन अल्कोहलिक ज्यादा निकल रहे हैं और वुमेन कम? क्या साइकोलॉजिस्ट इसको बता पाएगा ना? ऐसा क्यों है कि मोस्ट ऑफ द ड्रग एडिक्ट्स आर मेन एंड नॉट वुमेन? क्या साइकोलॉजिस्ट बता पाएगा? साइकोलॉजिस्ट विल टॉक अबाउट क्रिमिनल माइंडसेट। क्रिमिनल माइंडसेट, चलो ठीक है। माय क्वेश्चन इज, व्हाई मोस्ट ऑफ द मेन आर क्राइम, आर कमिटिंग क्राइम और क्रिमिनल? व्हाई डोंट वी फाइंड दैट सेम क्राइम इन वुमेन? क्या ये बात साइकोलॉजी की रह चुकी है? नहीं, ये तो है समझना पड़ेगा कि मेन और वुमेन कैसे बनाए गए हैं समाज द्वारा, जिसकी वजह से मेन ड्रग में जा रहे हैं, अल्कोहल में जा रहे हैं, क्राइम में जा रहे हैं, वुमेन नहीं जा रही। इनको बनाया गया है ऐसा। एंड हु इज बनाइंग द मेन एंड वुमेन? हु इज मैन्युफैक्चरिंग द जेंडर? डोंट यूज द वर्ड सोसाइटी, बहुत वेग सा होता है। फैमिली बोलते हैं। फैमिली इज शेपिंग मेन एंड वुमेन। देयर इज वेरी पॉपुलर स्कॉलर सिमोन डी बुआ, ठीक है, वो बोलती हैं वुमेन आर नॉट बॉर्न, दे आर मेड। इक्वली एप्लीकेबल टू मैन। मैन आर ऑल्सो नॉट बॉर्न, दे आर मेड। हमें ना टफ बनाया जाता है शुरू से कि सख्त रहना है, सख्त। जाकिर खान बड़ा पॉपुलर होता है इस डायलॉग में, है ना? और वुमेन को थोड़ा सा कैसे बनाया जाता है? सॉफ्ट। दे विल बी गिवन गिफ्ट्स इनिशियली, बारबी डॉल, ओके, किचन किचन सेट। Men will be given gifts like car, building, construction, etc. etc. Men are trained to go outside. तुमको गाड़ी चलानी घर के अंदर तो चलाएंगे नहीं। Women are trained to stay domestic. That means women are trained to be docile and obeying. Men are trained to be aggressive and violent and to confront the outsiders. When they confront outsiders, they get depressed. कि कैसी दुनिया, कैसे लोग हैं? Then they go to different shops and purchase cold drinks. Okay. So कहने का मतलब है कि इट्स नॉट माइंडसेट अलोन, वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ जेंडर इज shaped by the forces like family. Family is also force operating on individuals. Some people would say सर मैं वेज खाता हूँ, नॉन वेज नहीं खाता। बोलूँगा ये किसकी चॉइस है? आपकी चॉइस है? जी सर। नहीं, आपकी चॉइस नहीं है। सी बायोलॉजिकली, एंथ्रोपोलॉजिकली, अगर आप हमारा डिजाइन देखो टीथ का, वी आर नॉट मेड टू बी वेजिटेरियन। हमारे कैनाइन टीथ है। क्यों है वो? मूली खाने के लिए तो नहीं है। मतलब मैं नहीं कह रहा कि वेज नहीं खाना चाहिए, कहने का मतलब है किसी साइंटिस्ट होने होकर देखना पड़ेगा हमें चीजों को। वी आर एक्चुअली डिजाइन टू ईट फ्लैश, ओके, बट देन इफ वी आर डिजाइन टू ईट फ्लैश, देन हु स्टॉप्ड अस? रिलीजन स्टॉप्ड अस, फैमिली स्टॉप्ड अस, एंड दीज आर फोर्सेस दैट वी स्टडी कि हाउ दे ऑपरेट ऑन ह्यूमंस। विल साइकोलॉजिस्ट स्टडी दैट? So this is how you now understand how psychology is different from sociology. Okay. अच्छा, जब बात आती है सोशो वर्सेस हिस्ट्री की, वेरी बेसिक थिंग, एनीबडी हु इज ग्रेजुएट इन हिस्ट्री? कोई ग्रेजुएट हिस्ट्री? आपको साइकोलॉजी से कोई ग्रेजुएट है? नहीं है। ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स? गाइस, एनीबडी फ्रॉम हिस्ट्री? तो एक बेसिक चीज चीज समझ लेते हैं, ओके जब कंपेयर करें, क्योंकि सी वेरी फर्स्ट इवेंट दैट वी स्टडीड is historical event. We studied Renaissance, scientific revolution, Enlightenment, French Revolution, Industrial Revolution. Usually we study these things in the classes of history. Then how are we different from history? Well, the idea is very simple. History studies the events and we develop generalization from those events. That means we develop laws of the social world on the basis of historical events. Like one law that we developed on the basis of those historical events was that every time a force brings change, a force develops to counter the change. क्या ये लाइन हिस्ट्री की बुक्स में पढ़ी जाएगी? ना, ये जनरलाइजेशन है जो डेवलप हमने किससे करी है? हिस्टोरिकल इवेंट्स को पढ़ के। यानी हमारा जो पर्पस है, हमारे लिए हिस्ट्री एक रॉ फैक्ट देने का सोर्स है। हमारे लिए हिस्ट्री इंपॉर्टेंट है, उसी हिस्ट्री से हम कुछ डेवलप करते हैं, बिकॉज वी कांट गो बैक इन टाइम and this is not even our interest. Okay, we understand that in history there have been figures like Gandhi, there have been figures like Hitler, there have been figures like Mussolini, there have been figures like Patel, Nehru, who have been very very popular, है ना? आपने इन सबका नाम सुना हुआ है, ठीक है? But you know, we can develop generalization that in any society you will find charismatic authority, charismatic personality who brings followers, who draws attention at mass level. This is a generalization that is easily accessible and easily known when you study any society. You will find typical human behavior, mass or millions of people following one. And when this happens, that one becomes autocratic, dictator like, gradually. Some people do not become dictators, some people end up becoming dictator. This is a generalization that we are drawing when we study such kind of things. Understood? We don't study particularly Quit India movement. We don't study particularly civil disobedience movement. We don't study particularly Champaran movement or salt satyagraha. What we study is what makes movement possible among humans. What are the ingredients required to make movements possible? So then we come to know one तो is charismatic leader must be there. कोई गांधी जैसा फिगर हो, कोई पटेल जैसा हो, कोई नेहरू जैसा हो, कोई हिटलर जैसा हो। एक तो कैरिस्मेटिक इंसान लगता है इंसानों में ऐसी मूवमेंट शुरू करने के लिए। दूसरा, एक आइडियोलॉजी लगती है, समथिंग दैट कैन ब्रिंग द अटेंशन ऑफ मैक्सिमम पीपल एंड मेक देम द फॉलोअर ऑफ दिस मैन। सेकेंड थिंग इज आइडियोलॉजी। थर्ड थिंग इज मीडिया का रोल होता है, either newspaper pamphlets or social media, because through these things people get drawn towards that particular person. So we actually come to know what makes movement possible. We are not interested in particular movement like salt satyagraha or Champaran. Understood this? So we are developing generalization. Historians are going into specific details. To them, year is important, place is important, name of leader is important, but for us generalization is more important on the basis of such events. Understood? And for us, Europe is the laboratory. That means most of the generalizations that we have drawn in this subject are coming from Europe, which can be invalidated in India or in other societies that we will come to know when we study the subject. Okay. So this is how we compare, and that is how lastly we compare socio versus common sense. And we just did this comparison in the very first go. Okay. हम जैसे सोचते हैं और दुनिया जैसी है में फ़र्क क्या क्या है, वो हमें सोशियोलॉजी वैसे ही बताता है. Whatever we think about the world is what we call as common sense, but what sociology reveals is really uncommon, not so common. But whatever sociology reveals to you will be based on data, and whatever is common sense in us is based on opinions, conversations, dream experiences, interaction with our father, mother, and our friends. But what sociology will tell you will not be based on conversation with some friends. It will be based on data, hardcore data. This much percentage of these will be found in these. There are these forces operating. That will be based on data. We don't talk like this when we speak in everyday life. Okay. Anyway, Unit 2 is all about sociology as science. This is Unit 2. In this unit, we will prove sociology is science or not. This is the major objective of this unit. Okay. Of course, we will first come to know what is science. Only then we can prove whether sociology is science. तो हमें साइंस क्या होता है हमें पहले वो पढ़ना पड़ेगा. किसी भी चीज को क्या चीज साइंस बनाती है उसके बिना हम सोशियोलॉजी साइंस है कि नहीं जान नहीं सकते. हमें एक चीज समझना है. एनी थिंग, एनी बॉडी ऑफ नॉलेज can be called as science if in that body of knowledge there are facts, there are experiments, there are testing methods available, and there are cause effect relation involved. Then we call that body very much like science. Okay. Physics, fact is available, testing is available, experiments can be done. Okay, cause effect can be seen. Chemistry, facts are available, testing can be done. लेबोरेटरी एक्सपेरिमेंट हम करते थे स्कूल में, है ना, केमिस्ट्री लैब होती थी, फिजिक्स लैब होती थी, है ना, टेस्टिंग कैन बी डन, वो सब चीजें होती हैं. When it comes to sociology, do we have facts? Yes, we have facts. We will talk about facts. Can we test those facts? Yes. But can we test those facts in laboratory? No. हम इंसानों को टेस्ट ट्यूब में नहीं डाल सकते. मैं आपको एक जनरलाइजेशन देता हूँ. A very basic generalization I will give you. Very basic generalization. आपको लगेगा ही नहीं कि ये सोशियोलॉजी, आपको लगेगा कि यार ये तो हाँ, we can understand. The more the person becomes aspirational, the more the marriage is delayed. कितनी बेसिक बात है. ये लॉ है समाज का, है ना. ये कितना फैमिलियर सा साउंड कर रहा है. द मोर पर्सन, अब इसका ये मतलब नहीं है सच ही रहेगा हमेशा. ये मत सोचो कि नहीं नहीं ऐसा नहीं, मेरा एक दोस्त एस्पिरेशनल है, उसकी शादी तो हो गई थी 10 साल पहले. ये अभी मत सोचो ये सब बातें. अभी बस आप ये जानो लॉ क्या है, जनरलाइजेशन क्या है. ओके. कैन दिस बी टेस्टेड? दिस इज माई क्वेश्चन. Is this testable statement? The more the person is aspirational, the more the marriage gets delayed. Is this statement testable? Yes. Testable तो है सर्वे के थ्रू. Don't think about laboratory or test tube. सर्वे. जो केमिस्ट्री वालों के लिए लैब है वही हमारे लिए सर्वे है. क्या केमिस्ट्री वाले लोग सर्वे यूज करेंगे? ऑक्सीजन का सर्वे कराते हैं. उसी तरह क्या हम टेस्ट ट्यूब यूज करेंगे? शादीशुदा लोग का टेस्ट ट्यूब नहीं. यानी कि मेथड अलग है, बट अप्रोच साइंटिफिक है. They believe in testing, we also believe in testing. Our methods could be different. Okay. They collect data, we also collect data. We collect data on number of people married, and we also figure out educational qualification, how many of them are aspirational, and how do we define aspiration. We can collect data on these things, and then we can find correlation, causation. Yes, yeah. The more the person is educated, the more marriage is delayed. Then we found correlation. Okay, ज़्यादा aspiration होने से शादी delay हो जाती है. Then we also find some exception. So we actually try to understand and test everything, and then we also find some exception to the rules. Even in the laws that you study in physics, chemistry, there are always exceptions. Okay. Eventually we will prove sociology as science. Eventually होना यही है. And you will have to write the same in your answer, because examiners they will not like the fact that you don't call sociology a science, right? Because they are themselves sociologists. Okay. Very basic statement I'll tell you. Very basic. Suicide rate is higher among the people who are single. It is lower among the people who are married. इसका मतलब शादी होने से कुछ होता है, सुसाइड होने से बच जाता है इंसान. ठीक है, हमने ये टेंडेंसी देखी ह्यूमंस में. इफ द पर्सन इज रिलीजियस, chances for him to commit suicide is lower versus a person who is atheist. Okay, we actually developed generalization on the basis of data. We actually scanned through the documents of the people who committed suicide. We studied their biography and we came to know, यार ये तो atheist थे, ये तो single थे, ये तो men थे. तो men अगर हैं और atheist हैं और single भी हैं, ठीक है, चांसेस बहुत ज्यादा है. बट अगर शादीशुदा है, रिलीजियस है और वुमेन है, चांसेस बहुत कम है सुसाइड के. बट इफ बाय चांस वी कम टू नो द रेट ऑफ सुसाइड अमंग वुमेन इज इंक्रीजिंग, बाय चांस इफ वी कम टू नो something which happened just few years back in 2021, this will be exception to the law and it will come in your paper. It will come in your paper because it is breaking the law. और वो हुआ भी, पेपर में आ गया. तो अब ये जो मैंने बोला, अब आप बॉलीवुड का एग्जांपल देखो. इन बॉलीवुड, person who's single, who's not married, is going to have higher chance of committing suicide. Okay, is this testable? It is testable. Yani whatever we will say will be testable. Our method of testing will be different, but it will be based on data, and this is going to make us science. Understood? ये हमें ध्यान रखना है. Third thing is research methods. Third chapter. कुछ भी नहीं है. Research methods का मतलब क्या है? See, does a chemist, physicist, or any other scientist, do they have their methods to test something? Yes, they have their methods. Okay. Psychologists also have some methods to test the mental conditions of a person. They call it some test. They give different names to those tests. Okay. Anxiety test, frustration test. I don't know the name of those tests, but they have some scales on which they measure people to understand the stress level, anxiety level, etc., etc. Okay. And then they say, yes, yes, after 2 visits, we can understand that the stress level is going down. Okay. That means they first computed stress level at 90% and then they came down to 60% after 2-3 sessions. That means testable, right? We also have our own methods to test something. Our methods which we use are not definitely test tubes. Our methods that we use are survey, interviews. Interview is also a method to test what you are saying. You can interview such people and then come to know whether what you are generalizing is right or not. Okay. For us, it is not important to get our points right. For us, what is important is to get our points testable. Okay. Survey, interview, and then there are some, I would say, participant observation. Participant observation क्या होता है? It's also a very interesting method. Okay. This is a method which is used by sociologists, anthropologists also, to study humans without informing them that they are being studied by them. Like they will go to field trip to some village for 6 months, 2 years, maybe 3 years. They will just study the villagers every day. They will make diary, notes, what villagers do, what kind of people exist in this village, how many men are there, how many women are there, which caste group people are divided into, which caste group people are doing what, how they are behaving with other caste group people, what is the relationship between men and women in this village, what kind of occupations men are doing, what kind of occupation women are doing. And he is not going to interact with any person, he is just going to observe everything all by himself. This is what we call as participant observation. And sometimes he will get so much involved with people that he will start acting like villager. Okay, he will start performing an act of being a villager. Why? To get or to win confidence of the villagers, so that one day villagers tell them every detail of their village. Okay, ये थोड़ा अनएथिकल है, थोड़ा स्पाई जैसा साउंड कर रहा है, थोड़ा डिटेक्टिव जैसा साउंड कर रहा है, बट करते हैं ये कुछ सोशियोलॉजिस्ट. ओके, later on they reveal कि actually we were not villager, we were researcher and we had come here to study you. वो लोगों को समझ नहीं आता, हमें पढ़ने आए हो, हमें समझ नहीं आई ये क्या बात हुई. ठीक, तो इसलिए ज़्यादा डिटेल नहीं दी जाती उस टाइम पे, जो चाहिए था वो मिल गया 2 साल स्टडी करके. देयर वॉज अ वेरी पॉपुलर इवेंट, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई जस्ट टेल यू हाउ इट ऑपरेट्स. देयर वॉज अ विलेज वेयर कॉक फाइट वॉज गोइंग ऑन. कॉक फाइट मतलब कि मुर्गों की लड़ाई हो रही थी. ओके, नाउ any third person who's looking at the cockfight would say, what kind of illiterate people, or maybe it is some kind of sports and they have betted some money on that particular cock, and if he wins that he's going to get that much amount of money. Okay, maybe some kind of entertainment. But you know, after knowing that event exactly the way the villagers know that event, this person came to know it is not sports or entertainment, it is election going on. जिसका भी मुर्गा जीतेगा वो उस गांव का सरपंच बनेगा. अब ये सुन के अजीब लगता है, ऐसे कैसे सरपंच बनते हैं, ये आपको अजीब लग रहा है, बट देखो, पहला हमने ये समझा इस रूल को. व्हाट सीम्स नेचुरल इन वन may not exist in the same form elsewhere. So the idea of pitting one cock against another to understand who's going to run the village is very unnatural to us, very idiotic it sounds, but that is how it exists. Okay, we never had democracy right from the beginning of human civilization. Do you understand this? क्या हमारे पास बचपन से ही ह्यूमन सिविलाइजेशन के मिलियन ऑफ ईयर्स इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया था? पहले भी तो नेता चुने जाते थे, फिर कैसे चुने जाते थे, कुछ तो तरीका होगा. तो वी मस्ट अंडरस्टैंड एवरी टाइप ऑफ मेथड्स used by people. Okay, and this may exist even till date. This happens in many tribal societies. So then you will come to know that there is no one universal reality, universal finding. You will always find exception to certain universal law which you believe are universal. Understood this? Okay. So such kind of findings we come across through participant observation. Okay. गांव में रह के ऐसी कुछ विचित्र चीजें हमें समझ आती है जो हम शायद इंटरव्यू के थ्रू ना समझ पाए, क्योंकि लैंग्वेज नहीं आती हमें लोगों की. ओके, दिस इज यूनिट 3. देन यूनिट 4 is about thinkers. Now see, again, one common sense. There are so many thinkers in sociology. How do we read them? How do we study them? How do we remember them? How do we get marks? There was one topper who has read, who has written, who has revised 1000 thinkers. There was another topper who's saying, I did not write so many thinkers. I just wrote one. You get confused. कि भाई करना क्या है? इतने थिंकर लिखने में कोई मुझको बता दे पहली दिन। इसका कोई आंसर नहीं। देयर इज नो आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन, यू शुड नॉट इवन सीक आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन, हाउ मेनी थिंकर्स टू राइट। सी थिंक लाइक दिस, chemistry is a science, physics is a science. Would you write Newton every time when you write gravitation? Would you write his name? Would you write Einstein's name every time when you talk about relativity? After a point of time, these things become organic, naturalized. You don't end up quoting Einstein, Newton every time you talk about gravitation and relativity. You don't end up talking about Bohr, Rutherford every time you talk about atoms. Atom important है, gravitation important है, relativity important है, Einstein, Newton और Rutherford और Bohr नहीं. Principles are more important than the people who gave those principles. एक बार शेक्सपियर ने लिखा, there is nothing in name. नीचे खुद अपना नाम लिख दिया उन्होंने वैसे, विलियम शेक्सपियर. नाम में कुछ नहीं रखा है, काम में रखा है. उनका काम क्या है? What is unfortunate is that most of the people are running after names. Very few people know the works done by those people. And those people who are going to evaluate us, they know both name and works. Our perception is that more we end up writing names, more we get marks. It is as much stupid to think as much as that notion that more number of pages equal to more marks. That is not the case. That does not happen because, it is convenient to think like this at this point of time when we are not writing answer, when we are not trained to write answer. The moment you start writing answer, you will come to know the limitation of the time, limitation of the so-called presence of mind of the person who's reading your paper, because he does not like cluttered information. He likes very crisp, to the point findings. So in thinkers, in our syllabus, we have only 6 thinkers. Only 6. Okay. There is no scope for 1000 thinkers. There is no scope for 500 thinkers. There is no scope for 400, 300, 200. Okay. 6 we have to focus a lot on. One is Karl Marx. Second is Emile Durkheim. Third is Max Weber. Fourth is Talcott Parsons. Fifth is Robert Merton. Sixth is G.H. Mead. These three, the top 3, are European. That means they are the people who have studied all those European events that we just talked about. है ना, वो आपको याद होगा, हमने पढ़ा था Renaissance, Scientific Revolution, Enlightenment. These 3 people have studied all those events. क्योंकि तीनों यूरोप के हैं. Karl Marx is German. Durkheim is French. Max Weber is also German. जर्मनी में 2 लोग हैं, मार्क्स और वेबर. दोनों की एक दूसरे से नहीं बनती. दोनों की एक दूसरे से नहीं बनती है. ओके. डिसएग्रीमेंट्स हैं. डिसएग्रीमेंट होने का मतलब पता है क्या है? हम साइंस हैं. डिसएग्रीमेंट होने का मतलब क्या है? कि हम साइंस हैं. साइंस में ही डिसएग्रीमेंट होता है, रिलीजन में तो होता ही नहीं डिसएग्रीमेंट. आप समझ रहे हो? क्या न्यूटन और आइंस्टाइन अग्री किए थे एक दूसरे से? आइंस्टाइन एक्चुअली चैलेंज न्यूटन. आइंस्टाइन डिसएग्रीड विद न्यूटन. साइंस में क्वेश्चनिंग होता है. मैंने आपको पहले ही बोला था, साइंटिफिक टेम्पर मींस व्हाट? क्वेश्चनिंग टेम्पर. Newton said gravitation is a force which operates on anything which pulls that thing downward. आइंस्टाइन ने बोला ये सब बकवास है, ग्रेविटेशन एज अ फोर्स डज नॉट एग्जिस्ट, बात ही खत्म कर दी. देन व्हाट एग्जिस्ट? ही टॉक्स अबाउट सम अदर फिनोमेना, बेंडिंग ऑफ स्पेस टाइम फैब्रिक. अभी उसकी डिस्कशन में हम नहीं जाएंगे. बेंडिंग ऑफ स्पेस टाइम फैब्रिक होता है किसी भी ऑब्जेक्ट का मास स्पेस में, अगर सन है, सन बहुत हैवी है. इमेजिन सन with its such vast mass placed on a sheet. That sheet will bend downward. With that bend, every other object around sun will also get inclined or bent to some extent, because the center, which is sun, has caused such a huge bend. And this bent is what we call as bend of space time. It's not gravitation, some force, but the mass of the object which is causing the bend in the space time. This was very revolutionary finding by Einstein. और जो सो कॉल्ड ग्रेविटेशन की थ्योरी थी वो डिस्कार्ड हो गई. आज हम पढ़ते हैं एनसीईआरटी में, जैसे हम पहले पढ़ते थे ना, नील बोर को भी पढ़ते थे, डाल्टन को भी पढ़ते थे, अच्छे लगते थे सब हमें. बोर ने ये बोला, डाल्टन ने ये बोला, रदरफोर्ड ने ये बोला. सच क्या है जानते रहेंगे. एटम का स्ट्रक्चर क्या है जानते रहेंगे. किसी को थोड़ा ना पता है कि यही है स्ट्रक्चर. तो स्टेट ऑफ मैटर कितने होते हैं? सॉलिड, लिक्विड, गैस. ओनली 3. हाउ मेनी आर देयर? 5. Some people say now 6th is also there. 7th भी आ सकता है. डिसएग्रीमेंट है, दैट मीन्स देयर आर डिसएग्रीमेंट्स. यही चीज आपको दिखेगी कार्ल मार्क्स और मैक्स वेबर में. ही विल से समथिंग ऑन इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन. He will not like industrial revolution. He hates industrial revolution. Generally we feel what is there to hate about? It is so good. It is bringing factories to produce objects at such a high scale, minimizing the cost, minimizing the price, making things accessible to everybody. What is so bad about it? Marx will say, "Arey, ये सब अच्छा है, but look at the condition of the workers who is working in the factory. In order to get these things accessible to you, if you just look at the condition of worker, you will come to know why they are striking every day. Workers are exploited like anything to make those things accessible to you. Look at the delivery guys, you know. Somebody talked about actually delivery guys, so then you know very well. So there was a person who was talking about Zomato and Swiggy delivery guys. Okay, he was very concerned about the workers. Okay, who's delivering the food to you in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. एक वीडियो बड़ी आई थी वो इंस्टाग्राम पे कि ट्रेन में वो डोमिनोज का पिज़्ज़ा पहुंचाने गए हैं और ट्रेन चल पड़ी है, वो ट्रेन में रह गए, तो ट्रेन से कूद गया वो डिलीवरी बॉय. ओके, फिर वो दूसरी ट्रेन में जाना था क्योंकि उसको डिलीवर करने. तो वो कंडीशन को दिखाने की कोशिश की जा रही है कि वर्कर्स की क्या हालत हो रही है इस प्रोसेस में. मार्क्स इज कंसर्न्ड अबाउट वर्कर्स, बिजनेसमैन इज कंसर्न्ड अबाउट प्रॉफिट. Understood this? Will businessmen like Karl Marx? No. That is why capitalist economies do not like Karl Marx. In America, Karl Marx was introduced at a very later stage in economics department as subject matter. Adam Smith was more popular. Adam Smith is a person who likes industrialists, who talks about free market economy, who doesn't talk about workers and their condition. But Marx was the first of the economists of his time to introduce labor economics, economics of the workers. Understood this? हम वो पढ़ेंगे, हमारे पास वो नजरिया गायब है. आपको मैंने बताया था, याद होगा, हमने एक चीज पढ़ी थी यहाँ पे, studying the values and views of the non-dominant rather than accepting only ऑफिशियल एंड डोमिनेंट. जब इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन को पढ़ते हैं अक्सर हम क्या पढ़ रहे होते हैं? हम बस ऑफिशियल और डोमिनेंट व्यू पढ़ रहे होते हैं. जो नॉन डोमिनेंट है यानी वर्कर्स, उनका हमें पता ही नहीं चलता, है ना। तो सोशलिस्ट इकोनॉमी जो है उसमें आप लेबर कोड्स, लेबर लॉज बहुत देखोगे, क्योंकि वर्कर्स के लिए कंसर्न है। बट ये सोशलिज्म का आइडिया आया कहाँ से है? मार्क्स की राइटिंग से। मार्क्स इज द पर्सन who is writing a lot on socialism, capitalism. He is the person who has divided the world indirectly into two blocks, the capitalist block, the socialist block, and the third block as neither one, non aligned. एक अकेले इंसान की राइटिंग की वजह से समाज में, दुनिया में कितना बदलाव आ गया। वेरी रेवोल्यूशनरी फिगर। इमाइल डरखाइम भी हम पढ़ेंगे। ही इज अ फ्रेंच मैन एंड ही हैज सम particular views. He says that Europe is getting disturbed by enlightenment, scientific revolution. He also has some issues with all those events. इन तीनों को ना कोई इश्यूज रहे हैं, तीनों को, यूरोप से, इन दोनों को एक दूसरे से रहे हैं, 1 और 3 को। ठीक है। तो जिस इवेंट को हम सेलिब्रेट करते हैं उस इवेंट की दूसरी साइड एग्जिस्ट करती है, विच वी विल कम टू नो व्हेन वी रीड देम। दीज 3 आर अमेरिकन। So that means we have two set of thinkers, American and European. To understand European society, we will refer these 3. But to understand American society, we will refer these 3. Europe was the lab, Europe was the sample, Europe was the point of origin of sociology. But sociology does not stop there. Sociology then studies American society, sociology then studies Indian society. So American sociology mein these figures became important. Indian sociology may also some figures became important. Now, who are those Indian sociologists who are part of our syllabus but not part of paper 1? They are part of paper 2. So paper 2 में जो हम पढ़ेंगे thinkers, हम पढ़ेंगे G.S. घुरिए, M.N. Srinivas, and third we will study Andre Bete and Louis Dumont. और भी बहुत लोग हैं। Okay. So European, American and Indian, only these 3 society we study. Okay. This name sounds alien to you, right? How is he Indian? Technically, even this name sounds alien. Huh? Technically, both of them are Frenchmen. Okay. Andre Bete was Indian citizen, but by lineage he was Frenchman. Okay. Got Indian citizenship. He was never an Indian citizen. He was actually Frenchman by origin. Since he has studied Indian society very deeply, he is seen as important figure in Indian sociology. Okay. Fine. We will talk about, in our next chapter we talk about social stratification. What is the meaning of the word stratification? Can anybody tell me? Layers, stratas. Okay. You see stratas or layers when you eat pastry. Okay. You see stratas or layers when you eat chocolate or ice cream. You can easily see layers or stratas as an economist also when you study upper class, middle class, lower class. This is also a layer. We as sociologists also study layers, caste based layers, class based layers, and also racial layers. We also study gender layers. layers need not be vertical always. Remember this. Layers could be horizontal as well. जैसे ज्योग्राफी में आप पढ़ते हो ना लेयर्स, एटमॉस्फेयर की लेयर्स का नाम क्या है बताइए? नेम ऑफ द लेयर्स ऑफ द एटमॉस्फेयर? स्ट्रेटोस्फेयर, मीजोस्फेयर, ट्रोपोस्फेयर, एक्सोस्फेयर। जोग्राफर्स भी लेयर्स को पढ़ते हैं, मतलब कि वो भी स्ट्रैटिफिकेशन को स्टडी करते हैं, बट हमारा उन लेयर्स में इंटरेस्ट नहीं है। ऑफ कोर्स हमारा दूसरी लेयर्स में इंटरेस्ट है, कास्ट लेयर, क्लास लेयर, जेंडर लेयर. सम layers could be horizontal as well, which can't be neatly placed as rank 1 or 2. है ना? आप कभी भी जब ज्योग्राफी में लेयर्स पढ़ोगे, आप किसी को रैंक लगाओगे क्या कि मीजोस्फेयर नंबर 1 है, ट्रोपोस्फेयर नंबर 2? ऐसा तो नहीं कुछ बोलते आप. रैंक आप नहीं लगाते हो कि ये ऊपर है वो नीचे है, मतलब ऊपर नीचे सुपीरियर इंफीरियर तो नहीं बोलोगे आप. ऊपर नीचे कर दोगे, बट यू विल नॉट से कि दिस लेयर इज सुपीरियर टू दैट, है ना? अच्छा, हु इज सुपीरियर? HOD of economics department or HOD of political science? Who's superior? HOD of economics department or HOD of political science? अच्छा, who is superior, IAS और IFS, foreign service? सही बात है. They are different. You can't say IAS is superior to IFS. They are different. Who's superior, IAS or IPS? They are different. You are ranking them, that's your problem. They are different. कल किसी ने दोस्त ने कोई रील भेजी थी, तो उसमें किसी से पूछा गया IAS और IPS में भोकाली ज्यादा कौन होता है? किसने रील भेजी थी मेरे को? मैं देख रहा था. बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग व्यूज मिलते हैं ना लोगों के, जब ऐसी चीजें आप देखने को मिलते हैं. तो उसने बोला, इंसान ने, एक का भोकाल साइलेंट है और दूसरे का वायलेंट है. ठीक है, अब क्या इसको सुपीरियर भोकाल किसको बोले फिर, साइलेंट को या वायलेंट को? बस दोनों अलग तरीके से भोकाली है ना? उसी तरीके से वी मस्ट अंडरस्टैंड बोथ आर जस्ट डिफरेंट. सो व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू टेल यू इज, नॉट एवरी लेयर कैन बी ranked 1 2 3. Some layers are just horizontal. Okay, we study horizontal layers and vertical layers both among humans. Okay, so we study both horizontal and vertical layers among humans. अगर वर्टिकल का एग्जांपल पूछें, व्हाट इज द एग्जांपल ऑफ वर्टिकल लेयर, तो दिमाग में एक साफ साफ आता है, साफ साफ, जिसमें कोई डिस्प्यूट ही नहीं है, दैट इज क्लास. और लेट्स कीप इट वेरी सिंपल, हम ऐसे बोलते हैं अपर क्लास, मिडिल क्लास, लोअर क्लास. My question to you is, what is the criteria for dividing people into these three groups? किस बेसिस पे किसी को आप अपर क्लास बोल रहे हो, किसी को लोअर? व्हाट इज दैट वन बेसिस? इनकम. तो सिंपल, इसमें क्या सोचना है, सिंपल है. देखो, इनकम के बेसिस पे ये वर्टिकल लेयर है. ठीक है, अब एक इंटरेस्टिंग चीज आपसे पूछता हूँ मैं. इज इनकम क्वांटिटेटिव? कैन वी क्वांटिफाई इनकम? वी कैन कंप्यूट हु इज मेकिंग मोर मनी. इट इज अ कंप्यूटेटिव इंडिकेटर. क्या स्टेटस कंप्यूटेटिव है? इनकम, पैसा कंप्यूट किया जा सकता है, ज्यादा है या कम है. स्टेटस कंप्यूट किया जा सकता है? स्टेटस सोशल स्टेटस को कंप्यूट कर सकते हो क्या? कंप्यूट, मैं वर्ड यूज कर रहा हूं, कंप्यूट। हाँ, मतलब क्वांटिटेटिव पूछ रहा हूँ मैं, क्वांटिफाई कर सकते हैं क्या? इसका 71% स्टेटस है, इसका 62%, ऐसा बोल सकते हैं? नहीं बोल सकते। बट इसके पास 72 लाख है, इसके पास 60 लाख, ये बोल सकते हैं? ये बात सही है। कास्ट पे आते हैं। अपर कास्ट, मिडिल कास्ट, लोअर कास्ट। You told me income was the basis for this division. Now you tell me what is the basis for this division. Question समझ गए आप? You said income which is quantifiable is the basis for this division. What is the parameter or indicator to arrange people like this? Birth. तो जो आप कह रहे हो मैं लिख रहा हूं उसको, ठीक है? बात अभी सही गलत की नहीं है, बात है डिस्कशन की। बर्थ, ओके। Can we compute someone's birth and call that to be superior? नहीं ना? जितना इजीली हमने वो बोला बिलियनियर इज अबव मिलियनियर, उतना इजीली हम नहीं बोल पाएंगे बर्थ बेस कोई सुपीरियर होता है, बिकॉज देर इज नो लॉजिक, देर इज नो मैथमेटिक्स, देर इज नो फैक्ट, देर इज नो डेटा एज सच और टेस्टेबल स्टेटमेंट। ही इज सुपीरियर बिकॉज ऑफ द कर्मा इन द प्रीवियस लाइफ is non-scientific statement. Why? Because it cannot be tested. हो सकता है सच हो, हमें क्या पता, बट साइंटिफिक नहीं है ये स्टेटमेंट, बिकॉज ये टेस्टेबल नहीं है। पिछले जन्म में कौन जाएगा चेक करने कि कर्म क्या थे किसी के? और ये डिफाइन कौन करता है कि ये कर्म खराब है और वो अच्छा? ये डिफाइन कौन करता है? इसका मतलब बर्थ बेस्ड इज नॉट साइंटिफिक पैरामीटर, it's not quantitative parameter, it's not computative parameter, it is just opinion based. Let me give you one example. Brahmins used to say, there was this old myth, okay? Brahmins would say, we have come from the mouth of Brahma, so we are superior. Shudra have come from the thighs or feet of Brahma, so they are inferior. Kshatriyas have come from the arms of Brahma, so they are second to us. Okay. But when we started interviewing Shudra, who are believed to be coming from feet of Brahma, Shudra said that they were Brahmins only initially. One fine day, we four Shudra brothers were just walking across the forest. We saw one cow stuck in the mud pool. Okay, all of us were Brahmins only, all four of us. We decided to help this cow. One of the younger brother decided to rescue this cow. The moment he decided to rescue this cow, by the time he rescued, the cow was dead. That means this person had touched dead cow. The moment he touched dead cow, this person was now seen as unclean person. So this person was now treated as untouchable. That means all of us were Brahmin only, one of us became untouchable the moment he touched the dead cow. And that is why he is inferior. Now this is not computative or quantifiable things. It is just opinion. It is opinion. Nobody can test that you have come from the mouth of Brahma. It's not testable. And nobody can say just because you have come from mouth of Brahma, so you are superior. There is no logic, no relation. So that means it could be true, we don't know, but it is not scientific at least. Okay, so that means birth based is not quantitative, so we can't really accept this. Second is occupation, you said. Now, occupation of upper caste, usually it is believed it is ritual services, okay, or temple services or academics. Occupation of the lower caste is cleaning, cooking, maybe, or any sort of hand job, whatever they do. Okay, but the question is, how is it decided that somebody who's cleaning is inferior, somebody who's reading is superior? The person who reads, does he not clean his home? अरे जब पढ़ते हैं हम तो बोलते हैं पहले सफाई फिर पढ़ाई, तो जो पढ़ रहा था उसने सफाई नहीं करी थी क्या? है ना, लॉजिक तो ये बोलता है, यानी पढ़ने से पहले सफाई तो सभी कर रहे हैं, बट सारे लोग साफ करने वाले क्लीनर नहीं कहलाए जा रहे हैं। ओके, बट क्लीनिंग तो कर रहे हैं ना। अगर क्लीनिंग अपने आप में किसी को नीचे करती है, तो उसका वो एक्ट उसको नीचे क्यों नहीं किया, सिर्फ पढ़ने ने उसको ऊपर क्यों कर दिया? हमें ये समझ नहीं आया। इट्स नॉट इजी टू प्रोसेस दिस। तो कहने का मतलब है नो ऑक्यूपेशन, आमिर खान बोलते हैं, कोई भी नौकरी छोटी नहीं होती, कोई काम छोटा नहीं होता। हाँ, आमिर खान का एक ऐड था कभी, कोई काम छोटा नहीं होता। मूवी में सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट रोल किसका होता है? आमिर खान का। ठीक है, हो सकता है ना। एक्टर इंपॉर्टेंट है, डायरेक्टर इंपॉर्टेंट है, प्रोड्यूसर इंपॉर्टेंट है, मेकअप आर्टिस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट है, और वो लाइट वाला इंपॉर्टेंट है, साउंड वाला इंपॉर्टेंट है। क्या हम बोल सकते हैं कि नहीं सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट तो एक्टर है? ऐसा नहीं बोल सकते। एवरीबडी इज इंपॉर्टेंट, एवरीबडी इज परफॉर्मिंग डिफरेंट रोल, वी कांट से हु इज सुपीरियर। ये हमारे खुद के लेबल्स हैं। ओके, सो वी मे like the actor but we can't call him superior, rank 1. We can't say actor is above director. Can you say this? Can you arrange like this? Actor is above director, director is above producer. ऐसा arrange कर पाओगे? नहीं, all three are performing different tasks. Similarly, all of them are performing different tasks. So therefore, you can't arrange them easily. It is going to be very, very debatable. Occupation is also gone. Eventually, instead of income, we come to know that even if people still believe in this, it is only one factor. The beliefs are widely spread and have become common sense. And they have become common sense through textbooks, through documentaries, through families. These are the social forces that shaped you. Understood this? So that means हम ये सब चीज़ों को समझते हैं, हम अपने आप के बारे में जानना शुरू करते हैं when we study this subject, कि हम जो बने वो कैसे बने, किन प्रोसेसेस से हम लोग निकले, तब जाके हमारे ओपिनियंस क्या क्या बनने शुरू हुए। ओके, this kind of layers we study. Okay, eventually we will say there is no easy vertical arrangement. Technically, when it comes to caste, it is horizontal layering. Although individuals from India may still believe in vertical layering, but scientifically it is horizontal layering. Okay, because the verticality cannot be tested. Okay, there is no indicator to properly test. Similarly, we study chapters like family, religion, economy, social change. In fact, education, let me put it like this. Technically, the chapter number 10 is social change, but I am going to focus here on education. So these are some of the important pillars of our society. How family functions, how religion functions, how economy functions, how education system functions, how all of them shape the individuals. This is what we study in paper 1. Okay. And then what are the different views of different thinkers on the family, on the religion, on the education, on the economy. I just told you, when it comes to economy, industry itself, Adam Smith is going to have very different views from Karl Marx. Adam Smith will celebrate industrial revolution. He will celebrate efficiency. He will celebrate mass production. Karl Marx will be concerned more about the conditions of the workers. He will not be celebrating efficiency. He will be in fact denouncing this very efficiency which is coming at the cost of the exploitation of the many workers. Eventually in the factory, you can't say the goods are produced by the businessman. The goods are produced by the workers. Workers are valued lower than the goods. जो इंसान बना रहा है, आप ये सोचो, एमएफ हुसैन की ज्यादा वैल्यू है या फिर पेंटिंग की? क्वेश्चन है ना काफी इंटरेस्टिंग. वैल्यू ज्यादा किसकी है, पेंटिंग की या एमएफ हुसैन की? पेंटिंग की वैल्यू. समझो, यानी द क्रिएटर is valued lower than the creation. This is the kind of world we are living in. But was it the case always, ever since the evolution of human civilization? No. Earlier, people were valued for their craft. They were called as craftsmen. एक वक्त था हम वर्कर वर्ड यूज नहीं करते थे. We used to use the word craftsman, artist. Craftsman was the person who had full knowledge of his work, who would make the whole watch by his own hands. He would take, of course, he would take maybe 20 days, 30 days to create one watch. But he was respected for his craft, which was exclusive to him. He would decide when to create the watch, what color watch he needs to create, etc. Today, the workers in the watch factory of Rolex or any other factory would be instructed, come at 9 a.m., leave not before 8 p.m., and give your attendance and show your reports. Workers are treated like automated machines from which maximum output is extracted. And then those workers are made replaceable also over a period of time, because with more and more machines or automation coming in, workers are becoming redundant or replaceable. As you know, AI is making many professionals who were using their minds as replaceable. बोला जाता है what steam engine did or what machines did to the blue collar workers who used to do things by hand, that AI is going to do to the white collar. अब हमारे लिए इंपॉर्टेंट ये प्रोसेस को समझना है. इस प्रोसेस को, ये नेचुरल है, इनएविटेबल है. ह्यूमन सिविलाइजेशन में एक फोर्स आती है, कुछ सेट ऑफ लोगों को रिप्लेसेबल बनाती है एज अ जनरलाइजेशन. और उस वक्त क्या होता है? क्या दुनिया खत्म हो जाती है? नहीं. दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ थिंग दैट वी हैव एक्सपीरियंस्ड एवर सिंस द evolution of human civilization. Whenever any new so-called disruptive force originates, it creates destruction initially, but this destruction is creative destruction. There is a person called as Joseph Schumpeter. वो बोलते हैं this is creative destruction. Industrial revolution came, it took away jobs of many people who used to do things by hand, but it also created new jobs at the same time, which were not existing earlier. Similarly, if AI will come, it will take away jobs of many people who are using their minds for some routine task. AI will also then create new jobs for the same set of people, but we have to wait for those jobs to emerge. We can't be impatient. Okay, it is gradual process. Jobs do not develop overnight, है ना? तो ये प्रोसेसेस हैं जो हम समझ रहे हैं. कहने का मतलब है व्यू पॉइंट्स जो हैं वो थिंकर्स के बीच में बदलते रहेंगे. एडम स्मिथ विल सेलिब्रेट इंडस्ट्री, मार्क्स विल नॉट सेलिब्रेट, ही विल बी कंसर्न अबाउट वर्कर्स. ऐसी फैमिली को लेके कुछ लोग, they will say family is very important element in the society, it maintains stability. Some people will say no, it is actually causing benefit to select few people at the cost of some other. Family is patriarchal design, it is benefiting men more than women. ऐसा भी एक व्यू आएगा, फेमिनिस्ट व्यू उसको हम बोलेंगे. वो सच है कि नहीं से ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है कि वो है एक व्यू, है ना. रिलीजन, you will notice one thing, most of the gods are men, most of the founders of religion are men. नोटिस किया आपने. क्रिश्चियनिटी फाउंडेड बाय जीसस क्राइस्ट, ऐसा बोला जाता है. इस्लाम फाउंडेड बाय प्रॉफिट मोहम्मद. बुद्धिज्म फाउंडेड बाय लॉर्ड बुद्धा. जैनिज्म महावीर जैन. सिखिज्म गुरु गोबिंद. ऑल आर मेन. अच्छा, हिंदुइज्म डज नॉट हैव एनी फाउंडर एज सच. Okay, and therefore you will see elements of goddesses also. Okay, Hinduism becomes an exception to this rule, but the general rule is the founders are men, which is very much evident. The institutions like temple, gurudwaras, church are also run by men. Who decides that who can enter into temple, who cannot, and when they can, when cannot? Men decide. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? टेम्पल इज पेट्रियार्कल इंस्टीट्यूशन, ऐसा बोल सकते हैं. मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूं, मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूं, मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूं. फेमिनिस्ट स्कॉलर्स विल से दिस. ये हम पढ़ेंगे, ये हम पढ़ेंगे. चर्च इज पेट्रियार्कल, टेम्पल इज पेट्रियार्कल, गुरुद्वारा इज पेट्रियार्कल. सम स्कॉलर्स विल कंप्यूट द डिग्री ऑफ पेट्रियार्की. ये 62% पेट्रियार्कल है. वो कैसे कंप्यूट करेंगे, वी विल कम टू नो दिस. बट कहने का मतलब इसमें भी डेटा और टेस्टेबिलिटी को ध्यान रखा जाएगा. बट जो भी बोला जाएगा वो फैक्ट के बेसिस पे. शर्माएंगे बिल्कुल नहीं पढ़ते टाइम, क्योंकि वी आर एक्चुअली गोइंग टू नो अबाउट अस थ्रू एवरी पर्सपेक्टिव. So far what we know about is very limited. We are yet to know about us through different domains, different lenses. Sociology will introduce us to those lenses. Okay. So if you have any doubt, guys, you may please ask your questions. Acha, by the way, our classes will begin from 24th. Okay. We have prelims on 24th. Okay. And I'll not available here for a few days because I have some personal events to attend. We'll begin our classes from 24th officially. Okay. So if you have any sort of doubt, you may please ask. We'll begin class at exact 2 p.m. and the timings, as you know, is till 4:30. Okay. So we'll be having 2.5 hour class from Monday to Friday. Okay. And if you have any sort of doubt, you are free to ask. Online students, sorry, not 24th, it's 25th. 25th May. If you have any sort of doubt, you are free to ask. But please remember, don't buy any book. Abhi aisa mat karna, please. Don't go to any store to buy book. And you will actually come to know. See, I can understand the initial excitement. We would love to purchase new books. You know, new books अच्छा लगता है, हमारे टेबल पे होती हैं, बहुत अच्छा लगता है हमें. ठीक है, see, that's fine. If you want to just get that satisfaction, you can buy that book. But don't take pressure of reading that book just because you have purchased it. You don't have to take that pressure reading book cover to cover just because you have purchased it. No, because you know, things are different the way they operate in examination hall, because we are more concerned about how we and what we write. Reading तो बहुत जगह कहीं मिल जाएगी. हाँ जी. NCRTs you don't need to refer. Okay, you don't need to refer NCRTs. Why? Because whatever is important in NCRT, anyway we will be discussing all of that in the classes only. Okay. Yes. Yes, so see, we will be giving handouts as well, but we will also have dictation time in the classes. So see, like today, our focus was on not on dictation. Our focus was on knowing the subject in its entirety to whatever extent is possible in one day. But as we proceed, I'll be allocating time to dictation in the class. Most of our time will be gone in understanding. Once that is built, it is easy for us to note down what is important for us to have things to revise. But other than dictation, we will be providing handouts also. Now, handouts can be read, assuming them to be a substitute to a book. Like if you were going to read a book, instead of that, just go through that handout. Okay. And that also, as you know, is not necessary because I don't recommend books. So I would not, despite giving you handouts, I would not recommend you handouts either, except for few topics or few areas, which I will myself tell you that in topics ko you must read from handouts also. Okay. But initially, just be regular in the class. This is what I'm more concerned about. See, आप जितना regular रहोगे, okay, it is hardly, trust me, it is hardly matter of 5 months. These 5 months will not come again in your life. This is the first and the only time that you will be spending 5 months on this particular subject. But once those 5 months are done peacefully, you will be feeling very, very relieved. Not because it is over, but it is over with proper exam oriented approach and with proper understanding of PYQs, which we focus a lot in our classes. Because most of the time, you reading alone is not going to help until you understand what kind of questions were asked by UPSC in that topic. So on 25th, we will be giving you two things. One, we will be providing you PYQ booklet, which will be updated till 2025, what questions have been asked by UPSC from what area. Topic wise, we have segregated that. You will be having that booklet in your hand every day. You will be coming with that booklet every day so that you come to know how much weightage UPSC has given to this topic जिसके ऊपर हम क्लास में डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं. Okay, and that is how you will start feeling more and more comfortable with the syllabus and the approach. Okay. Other than that, we will be providing you copy of the syllabus, which is readily available, but we will be providing you the so-called hard copy also of the syllabus. Okay. आपको और कुछ नहीं पढ़ना है, बस अटेंड करना है रेगुलरली, और बीच में हम छोटा छोटा सा MCQ टेस्ट भी करते हैं, ऑब्जेक्टिव टाइप. ओके, उससे भी बड़ा हेल्प होती है व्हेन वी मेक स्टूडेंट्स test themselves on 4 option question. They actually come to know the concept in a very different way. That concept actually gets solidified in their mind because now they know objectively these three are wrong and this is the only right. Okay, so धीरे धीरे ना that subject will become more of fun to you, entertaining to you. That is more important. Okay, so I'll see you guys on 25th May. Thank you so much for attending the class. Thank you guys. हम्म, समझ रहा हूँ मैं. हम भी कोशिश कर रहे थे पहले ऐसा कुछ बनाए शेड्यूल, बट पॉसिबल नहीं हुआ वो. और क्या, यहीं पे पढ़ लेना अपना. हम्म, हम्म, सिर्फ अर्निंग के बेसिस पे होएगा वो, स्टेटस नहीं.